Hi everyone, it's Lisa and Luna back with another Technique Tuesday. Still in the new year of 2015. Welcome back. Happy New Year. Today we're going to talk about heat embossing and what that's all about because as I said in last week's video, I was trying to go over some of the techniques that I use most in my scrapbooking and my card making, and to share those with you so that you know where I'm coming from, my lingo, and how it all works, the magic, or maybe get you involved in something you've never been involved in. Heat embossing is one of those things. I've been doing this actually since I was probably 10, and I do hear the pitter-patter of little feet, so we'll see how well this goes today. Hi Luna. Hi, welcome. You can't see her, she's off corner, but knowing her, and today we've already done a different take, she might jump up and say hi. We do have her picture here in case she doesn't, but anyways, we're moving on because I want to keep this video short and not too long. So basically, heat embossing is when you use an ink that stays wet for a long time and apply some powder and some heat. Hello. How are you? How are you? Happy New Year. You're on TV again. How about that? So anyways, we need to keep moving. So basically you need to, in order to do stamp embossing, you need to use either a pigment ink or a watermark stamp pad. And my go-tos are the Versamark and also the Archival Brilliance pigment ink if you want to use color. A lot of people just use Versamark. It'll stay nice and wet long so you can apply your powders and everything so that they stay on. And I'm sorry if I'm a little distracted, but I do enjoy having her around. Dye inks and the solvent inks do not stay wet long enough to do this, so stay away from that. Basically, these powders are plastic resin that's ground and sifted up with chemicals and added to controlled static electricity. If any of you really understand what that means, be sure to email me so I know. We're going to relocate our little friend. Say bye, Luna. Bye, Luna. Okay, relocate. So we can get going. They come in all sorts of different types, superfine, glitters, clear, black, white, so you're never without a color to use. So you want to make sure you have an appropriate heat gun. A hair dryer doesn't work. They don't get hot enough, and they blow away all of the powders that you're putting down. And if you're using your husband or your significant other's heat gun that he might use, those get way too hot and you could set yourself on fire. So let's not do that either. So basically, to do this, it's very easy. You need to prepare your paper. And because I've had the cat, this is abnormal, my dear. But she loves to be in the way when we were talking. So this is a static electricity remover. It's a little pad. It's got chalk in it. It's kind of messy. So basically, you just go over that with your page, and it removes any of the static electricity that's on there, so that when you put your ink down and your powders on, nothing else is sticking to it. My dear, you need to relocate. So the first one we're going to do here is this flower. This is just basic heat embossing. So you stamp your image right on that pad. Stamp here, and it's sticky. You can see that. And I'm just going to do this one in blue. A go-to is always a coffee filter. They're anti-static. So once you put these powders on and shake them off, that's where your extras can go. And you can sip that right back into your little jar here. I'm rushing because I know Luna took up too much of my video time. So all you need to do here is do this on something that's not going to melt. These craft mats are built for the heat, so I'll talk over it. So you want to make sure this gets nice and hot. You want to make sure you're probably 2 inches away from it, and once everything starts working and melting, you're going to see these colors change pretty dramatically. So you can move this up. They get shiny, and the powder is melting. And it takes no time at all. This will be warm for a minute, maybe tacky, but it'll dry and it's on there. It's excellent. So that's going right onto the paper. Another option is a lot of people that they don't do it actually, is using embossing on colored paper. They tend to do it on white. So we're going to get all the static off this piece of paper. And we're going to do another stamp. And we're going to, this time we're going to do it with white. So you can see how it looks like on a different sheet of paper. And the distraction has finally left. So we have some white embossing powder now. Right there. And then we'll heat this up. And once your guns are nice and warm, these things tend to go a lot quicker. So you can see that color change. Again, I can't emphasize enough doing this on an appropriate work surface. These craft mats are fantastic, and these just come out great. I love this. Okay, and one other thing you can do with embossing, I mean, you can do many. Actually, there's two other things. Blanking. Let's see here. Where are we going? That's what we're doing. Is stamping with the pigment ink. On the previous video, we talked about doing this, and these pigment inks will stay wet long enough. So when you stamp with a pigment ink and a color on top of it, leave that there for a second. This is my clear embossing powder. You come back real quick, because we use clear a lot. I like to have it ready to go. My little teeny spoons I got from the Christmas tree shop. So I have clear embossing powder over an ink. And you can watch and see how that's just going to pop. And it gives it a nice sparkle, shimmer, or a sheen, however you need to think about it. But that is a nice option too. One other thing that I like to do, I don't do it often enough, is to actually do a multiple tone embossing. So I have this pansy stamp here, pansy, and I'm just going to go right across it. And not drop it on my paper. Let's turn that around. Again, remember this stays wet a long time, so you have this option here. And I'm going to use 3 colors on this. And I just want to use a little bit, so we'll take out a spoon. You don't want it all over everything. And the stuff goes a long way. And this has got a watermark on it, so you'll be able to see where you're going. So there's pink, or red, or crimson, or whatever. Now, if you do manage to be able to separate them all, that's cool too. Some people make a little pile of color and move on with their day. I take the extra time to keep the colors clean. Do a little bit of purple. I probably made the red a little too big. Do a little bit more. I missed completely. Good aim, good aim. And since this is the last color I'm doing, I'm going to just do it right here on this. And then we'll heat this up. And that is a multicolor emboss. That's just neat. It's something you can do different. You can do rainbows, you can do anything like that. It's a neat little process, and it's a nice way to change up the colors. So the last one I want to show you is actually something I'm going to make for an upcoming card. It's a stained glass, and these just come out beautiful. Let me just get this out of the way. All right. So essentially what you're going to do is you're just going to be using your Versamark pad and some clear embossing powder. And what you need to do is stamp your images in a color that you can color. So we're going to do stained glass. I have this stained glass window, and I'm going to put some of these flowers in it. Why can't I think of the word that I want? Irises into the stained glass window. So I'm using an ink that I can also color well in with my Spectrum Noir markers. So I want an ink that's not going to bleed when I color in on it. Another thing you can use to help in that is the Spectrum Noir paper or the Copic marker paper. So you want to use a Memento, a dye-based ink. And then we're going to, oops, put that back. And we're going to add our flowers in. Now you can draw outside the line here because you're in a window. So I'll do my scratch pad here. So I'm going to put an iris there. I'll come back in. Now it looks like it's all big and messy, and that's why you need to take the time to go through each of them and color it in. So I had my markers here. I would start with the leaves. I hate saying the word I apologize. But I would come in and you can start breaking the window up, and you color that in and you find the stems. A good trick to have is to keep that stamp right near you so that when you're coming in here you can add in whatever designs the stamp has on it. The trick to this whole thing is the background in blue. So you can take it and you can color right in. I have one done to the side, so I'm not spending all my days doing this. And then you want to change up the colors in the windows, which is really what's going to make it that stained glass effect. So you probably use 3 or 4 colors in this process. And here's my completed one. I have my purple irises done in there in my stained glass window. And this is how this is going to work. Take your Versamark pad. I outlined the window because I overcolored, but whatever. Take your Versamark pad and stamp right on to this image. This is a move quick application. Make sure it's covered. And we're going to go in with the clear ink and make sure it's covered. Step 1. Heat this up. And you'll start seeing all the colors pop. And while this is still hot, I'm not even shutting my gun off. Go back in with a second layer. And you'll see it's sticking. Again, while you're still hot, put the corners down here. Come on in. And I'm going to do one more color in here. And you have your stained glass. It's a lot thicker than the images that are done over here, and it gives it that shimmery look like the window, and it's just incredible. We had a minor technical glitch, but I just needed to come back real quick. I cut this out, and I just wanted to show you the thickness that it made this paper. So it's a little thicker than that. It also has a really nice sheen to it and a glossiness to it that clear embossing powder really gives. It's a great technique. And these stained glass stamps you can actually get, I actually got mine on Amazon. They come in circles, they come in big bowl frames, but I liked the look of this one. I did highlight this border in my black marker, would have used a ruler. I didn't really like the freehand that I did, but you can see how heat embossing works. It's a great trick. It's really nice to add to cards, sentiments, statements, happy birthdays, and if you just want to stamp in clear and use your markers, you can do that too. It's just a win-win. All sorts of fun stuff you can do. So I hope you enjoyed this technique. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me on my blog. And I hope you have a wonderful week. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks for dealing with Miss Luna and her tail. I will see you next week, where I do believe we're stepping into the world of colored pencils. So thanks. Have a great night. Bye-bye.